Hello my vacuum cleaner chums, welcome to another full, hopefully, strip down and refurbishment video, this time for a classic Dyson DC01. Not to be confused with the one I bought for 99p, which is still there, this is only the next day. Somebody bought this round last night to be refurbished. They want to take it to their holiday home in, I think they said Wales. And I'm going to do it, even though it is horribly faded. It is brown, utterly brown. But somebody wants it refurbishing, I'm not going to say no. And luckily we have a spares machine. Although it is a shame that this one has that crack to it, because I'll be honest, I probably would have just given her that one. But she doesn't mind, she likes it, she's had it since new. So who are we to judge as collectors? We should be applauding people who want to keep an old vac going. So this first bit is just the welcome, and let's have a quick look at it, because I haven't actually looked at it. I fired it up, but I haven't actually gone through it in much detail. So we'll have a quick look, then I'll mount up properly and we'll get going. Now the wand is in worse condition than the 99p one, so I'm going to swap the wands over because that one is less broken and the tools don't even sit on this, so that wand is definitely scrap. If we drop the cable, it has a round Dyson plug, and that's because this is an earlier one. This is a proper British one from the 5th of the 6th, 1998. While we're here, the wheels, although wobbly, are good. There appears to be a paper clip stuck in there, so we'll have that out. And yeah, I think it's had a replacement hose. But, well, this is how much DC01s can fade. Look at that. She said she got it out of the loft, but it's probably been in the loft for quite some time. Let's just have a look at the hose, if I can get it off. It looks like it's had a fairly recent replacement hose, which I was going to wash actually, but looking at that, I don't think I'll bother. I might do. Should we wash it? We may as well, mightn't we? Get it cleaner. That's a very stretchy hose. Very late replacement. Let's turn it on, because it doesn't sound too healthy. Ready? The motor is sounding very strained, and that's probably not helping. That's better, but I think the motor is not too happy. I don't want to take that fully off because we'll cover that in the video. That filter is ruined. And it's actually quite interesting to have these side by side because there are some differences. Now this one has a later DC01/DC04 bin insert. So I'm going to swap it for this one. The font on the bin is also different. I think the stickers are the same. The world's first 100% of the time, 2-year guarantee, automatic cut off. Yeah, those stickers are identical. That font, so there's not too many differences. And in fact, it does still have the 0870 sticker, so it's obviously a late one with this style. That should be red, that's how faded it is. Let's have a look underneath, because for a start it has its complete base plate, not broken, and the brush roll is very good. So let's get on with it. So here we go. We are roughly set up. Hang on, I can tip that down just a little bit further. There we go. And I've got both of the machines here because we will probably need parts for both of them. And we're going to start with the wand from this one because we're going to be keeping it, so we need to wash it. So bye bye scrap hose. Here is the wand. And just like the DC04, you just pop the catches off. You need to pop both sides off though because it's a much sturdier catch. There we go, ping. And then there's quite a hefty spring that comes out of it. So we'll add that. The cord hook is actually a different sized Torx to the one that I got out, of course. I thought I was doing alright there. There we go, so quite a larger Torx. But that comes out. And then the cord hook and this little spring fall out like so. You can't really take the metal off, I wouldn't advise it. It's not blocked. So there we go, that's that. Now we'll move on to the actual machine. Now with a DC01, obviously the UK people will know this, but the US people probably won't. So you push that little catch down, which you now can't see. There, lift the bin up and pull that down. Now this is the bit that I'm actually a little bit scared of because these break for fun. Oh, literally just keep levering it up ever so gently until it pops off. And luckily we didn't break those parts there. We'll put that to one side in its entirety for now and get the cable off. And to get the cable off, there is a screw here. Then with our little flat blade we just pop out the switch housing like so. And then behind there is actually a cable tie which we don't want. I never replace it either. So I'll have you off. And as you can see, the wiring looks like that, which you still can't see. Basically the blue connects together and both the browns go to the switch, the same as any Dyson really. So I start by undoing the two, that's the wrong side. I start by undoing the two clamps that hold the cable to the machine. That gives us some room to work then, you see. There we go. And then that's still plugged in. That was silly of me. Always make sure the machine is unplugged before you get your screwdriver and start poking stuff, because you want to take the chocolate block off of the neutral and then pull the switch off the brown. That is a DC01 switch, very different to the later ones. And this actually has, oddly enough, its original cable, which is astonishing. Normally these break as they go into the machine, just like any other Dyson cable. You need to take the cover off, otherwise it won't pull through, and just pull the cable through and off. And then we can wrap that up. Just check it hasn't got a big cut in it or anything that means we've got to scrap it. I don't think it does, it's just a bit dirty, but we won't go too nuts on that. On the machines, I've got the full set of DC01s upstairs, and those I do spend time in cleaning the cables up, but I'm not going to do for this one. Now, the cord entry is a sod to get out and a sod to get in, so I leave that, as is the mains on-off switch. As in, I don't think you can actually get it out, so again, leave those in as well. There is another one of those neutral terminal covers, not neutral, live terminal covers. covering the spinal cord, which is being a little sod. Come on. I'm filming, don't you know? Well, why aren't you coming off? That might be why it was pushed up, so there we go. The crimp was pushed down, so it was holding the tab in. And then, just like any other Dyson, pull the cable out the back and drop it down as far as it will go. Now for the hose, just drop you down a touch. The hose on a Dyson is a slightly different sort of clip. He's pushed that in there and it pops out. Oh yeah, we will wash that because that's very dusty indeed. So I'm going to wash the hose, and just for a laugh, I probably won't reuse them, but I'm going to show you how these filters come out in the wash. So there's the before, that is the writing side, and there's the back. We'll see what they come out like, and I'm just going to put them in the washing machine. I didn't pause. There we go, they're happily on a 60-degree 1 hour wash. So get that big bit of fluff out the way. The filter cage just goes in to be washed as normal. Now we take the flap off. These on a distill are very rare because the distill has a HEPA hole. There's a hole there-ish for a round HEPA filter. This one doesn't have that though, so we'll get the incredibly filthy one off. There's a seal up here that seals to the cyclone. Just ease that out. And now it's time to move on to the underneath. And for the underneath, we need to undo the base plate screws, and this one is missing one, so we'll take that off. They shouldn't come out. There should be a plastic retaining washer, which this one doesn't have. So that's obviously been gone. And there is the underside of the sole plate. The suction channel through the middle is notorious for getting clogged up. This one is okay, luckily, so we'll get it starting to. Oh, you can't see, the lighting's terrible. How do I put the light on? But basically, it's just starting where my finger is. There we go, you see the big chunk of fluff there? That's how it starts. So we'll take that out. And then to separate, there is a rubber grommet here which you pull off. That's what makes it bounce. That's the old style of internal spring. And then the two parts just separate, like so. The rubber washer does just pull out from the front, and I won't wash that because again they're quite rare, because they always break and fall off and people don't know they should be there. And I was going to take the rubber seal out, but it doesn't actually have one. Yes, it does. It's got a bit of a rubber seal. I thought they went all the way around, but never mind. If it wasn't there, who cares? So, the base plate comes off, the bumper comes off now. There's that. And we can pop the actually quite new belt. We might be able to reuse this belt. Oh, no, there's a Wow Daniel sticker. Well done, Daniel. Top work. And another big chunk of fluff. So yeah, that's a brand new replacement pattern belt. We'll keep that, we'll put that back on. So, next up is to take off the cleaner head. And it works in almost the same way as a regular Dyson does, except there's no retaining washers. There's a pivot point here that sits just behind a keyed. Actually, we haven't done the brush on. We'll do the brush on in a bit. We'll put that with the cyclone. And all you do is you just pop it off. Pop it up and off. And then in theory, it just lifts off. It's not clipped in this side at all. It just sits on the top like that. Oh, there's another big chunk of fluff there. And here. This part is the locking part on a DC01 It's that little spring on the plastic with the wheel. On this, it's a great big proper thing. And to get that off, there's a tab here. I might have to just put it down a bit. I'm going to have to be careful with this because it's very faded. It's going to be brittle. And that falls off like so. And then with that off, you can release the pivot point at either end, and then the big spring comes out into 3 bits like so. There's a wheel here as well that comes out with its little axle, so we can wash all that. And then I never take the yellow bit in there out. You can if you really want, but I wouldn't bother. Again, you can see the fading. That's the colour it should be. Pop that there. Ooh. The main machine. And this highlights what they do. This is the wheel mudguard thing. And as you can see, it snapped off. They all do that. It's very rare to find a DC01. Again, I ordered mine. I think one of mine hasn't got it. Oh, that's got that part on it. But we'll take that off because then it'll match the other side. We'll take this. I never quite know. This is the part that floats on the floor. And I think it helps it self-adjust. It rides along it like that, basically. That's very dirty. I don't know its actual name though. Let's take the wheels off. So, take the cap off. The circlip is exactly the same. Twist and pull it off. Now that's very worn. And I'm going to do a trick that somebody told me. I think it was Keith, the same bloke, who told me about the weights trick. Oh, hang on. We're stuck. The axle won't come out of the doodah. Where's my hammer? I'm going to stick a little bit of tape around the axle end with then a bit of grease. Very gently, it's rusted in. Let's tap that through. Again, we don't want to shatter the plastic, although we do have a spare bottom housing. There we go, that was all rusted in, so we'll clean that off. And that also takes off the other wheel, so that's very nice indeed. Right, here. Now we can start peeling back the layers from this Dyson, and we'll start with the very first layer. This is the motor housing, so we're about to see the motor. Two, three. Flip it over for number 4. Number 5. And number 6. And then with that off, and a little bit of ever so gentle persuasion, and they actually conveniently located persuasion points. The motor's going to come out with it, which is a bit of a pain, because it shouldn't. There we go. The bottom motor housing comes off. We can then take out the, this is the sort of where the debris goes on there. And if I show you, there are rubber seals. If I can get at them. Pockets out. Let's pocket out. Get back in. These are just my lounging around the house shorts. There we go. It's just big rubber seal that runs around there, and two smaller ones that run around there. There we go. So that can all go in the wash. Lovely. Right. Ooh. Let's put this back in quickly. And then that's how the motor should sit. There. Let me just adjust my laptop. I think that's why it all looks so dark. There we go, it's not too bad. So yes, the motor sits like that. And to get the motor off, we need to release a screw. In fact, actually, let's just take the terminals off of here first. There's the motor. We'll go on to that in a minute because we need to do something to that to stop it sounding so god awful. In there is a bracket underneath that mass of cables. If you release the main flex from it, there's a clamp that's attached to the, I think it's a suppressor, but it doesn't pop. There we go. The live goes onto there. And we have the thermal cutout and a little suppressor there. So we'll clean that up in a minute. And the spinal cable is still there, but we can't get to that yet because there's yet more screws for the second layer. Yes, that's right, the second layer. So we'll have those out. One, can't remember where they are. Two, here. This has seen a lot of plaster dust. It is caked in the stuff. That will directly be why the motor is sounding flipping awful. Four, five, and six. There we go, 6 lovely screws. And then the top housing pulls away from the bottom. I've done a schoolboy error here, but it's too late to rectify it now. That's why you take the plastic caps off of the cables, but we'll do that in a minute. So this is the suction duct area, and I think the way it works, think about this, hang on. The suction comes up into here, goes up the duct, through the cyclone, and then back down, and that's where the dirt comes in. So you can see all that plaster dust has gone straight through the cyclone. These were never fantastic. There's a big rubber seal here, which is the changeover valve actually. There's another one there for the bottom of the one. So we're done with that part. There's more of those rope seals here. Come on. Here. And then there's one on the spinal cable which will now pull through, and then there's another little seal there. So that can go up there, or on the floor, whatever. And here you can see the sides. You can't really. That's plaster dust. That's actually quite clean. That seal there is glued to the chassis, so don't try to take that off. And there we go. Right, on to the motor, which is a YDK YV540. Classic case of death by plaster dust this. The big end cap comes off, as does the rubber seal. There we go. The fan case seal comes off, and the reason that this is sounding like utter shite, and I'm going to pause and get my socket set, is because the fan is covered in rubbish. Now, the Antec motors are slightly different. You have to tap the fan case off. But these you may not actually have to, because there are handily 2 tabs either side. And if once you start one off, just lever all around and you'll see it opening up like this is. And I'm hoping that I haven't got to tap it off and it will just pop off in a second. It's getting better and better all the time. There we go. You can see it caked onto the fins of the motor. That's why it sounds so awful. It's running very off balance. Very off balance indeed. Now, let me see what I have in here to see if I don't need to get my actual socket set out. But I think I might have to, because I have a nut, not a nut, a socket, but I don't think I've got anything in here because I've used it in the car to drive said nut. Which is a bit of a pain. No, actually, this will budge it. By use of an appropriate sized Allen bolt on the end of there, we can simply twist off the locking nut, like so. There is a large washer and then a small washer on the top. And here is the fan. The stuff just falling out of it. Under there, there is another washer. Then a little spacer ring. And then the rest of the doodah. While we're here, and being quite thorough, we'll get a crosshead screwdriver and take out these 4 screws at the back. Oh, where are you? You're there. Which will release this plastic part, and we'll wash that as well. So, 1 screw, 2 screws, 3 screws, 4 screws. It's like Sesame Street, this, isn't it? And then with those removed, this should all no, not those 4 screws. We just taken the entire top off the motor. I've just seen the 4 screws that we should have undone. Hang on, we're not stripping it down that much. It hasn't got no bearings. A good brushing will get the rest of this motor clean. Hang on, let's just pop these back in quickly. There's 4 other screws just around the outer edge of that. Blimey, I wanted to notice that. I haven't seen many YDK Dysons. All of mine have got Antecs in them. Right, let's take the outer 4 screws off. Wonder why it wasn't moving, but everything else was. 1, 2, yeah, that's moving now. That's starting to fall off already. 3, 4, 5. Now, with a little bit of persuasion, really, am I missing something here? It should just pop off. are some more screws. So we are going to have to take the middle ones out. I always need to get this flipping bit of plastic out. Never mind. I think there's two more in the middle, you know. We'll hold it by the edge and we'll tap the shaft out. Yes, there are. The bearing's good. Nothing wrong with the top bearing. I'm not taking the rest of it out. It's fine anyway. There's the other two screws, look. There. Oh well, we'll wash this whole top bit. May as well, now we've got it this far. 3, that's 5, 6, and look at that, it just separates. So all that, it's not actually as bad as it could be, but all that will be killing the airflow. So I'll wash all that. The fan, I'll show you how to wash in a second. So I'll put all these screws in here, and we'll quickly have the brush roller part, which is just like any other Dyson brush roll. You grip both ends, pull off one side, pull that through, and take off the axle. Then snap out the bearing, which is line. Look at that. There's a felt / plastic dampening ring, I suppose. Now these are very good, which is great because they're the non-packable type. So if they were knackered, we would have to bin them. And here comes the second, along with its massive pile of rubbish, which again is beautiful. And here's the actual brush roll, which is it's looking a little bit worn. But it will be A, it'll be okay. B, I haven't got any more because these are different to the DC04 ones. So we'll have to make do with what we got. Now onto the Cyclone. Tap off the dirt that's in it. There's nothing in the bottom of the bin at all, so that can be fine. This is basically the same as the DC04 now. Take those two seals off. We're not going to be using this. Instead, we're going to use this because I prefer these because the dirt spins round inside. The dirt doesn't spin round inside the ones with the fins. It's very boring indeed. As I said, the later Dysons did have it, but obviously because A, if it was ever changed by Dyson, they wouldn't have done it, and B, because they just fit, the fin style got fitted, but I much prefer the other style. There's lots of fluff attached to the Cyclone itself. Oh, my laptop screen's gone off. Right. The release valves on a DC01 are these little, look, you can play those. And the way you take those out is, let's see if I can get up close, not too personal. You just very gently pull, but while you pull at an angle, and eventually that rubber seal will give way and slide out. So there's 1, 2, 3. Oh. Now there's a hack you can do with those. You basically cover that area with tape, and it does improve the suction a little bit, but I'm not going to do it to this one because it's one that's going to be used, and obviously if you block those up and it blocks up, it'll burn the motor out eventually. There's 1 screw at the top, and the reason you have to take those valves out first is because when you pull the inner bit out, which again I've got to be very careful so I don't crack the Cyclone, eventually it will come out. There we go. Inside here is a groove that gets utterly full of rubbish, and indeed it pushes the cyclone out. Just a fraction, but just enough to knacker up the suction of it. So there's that. The top of the cyclone lifts off, and there is a rubber seal around the top, like so. And then, just like a DC04, you go bang! But that wasn't hard enough, so you go bang again, and out it comes, and out flies all the dust. Lovely. I think you can use DC04 cones as well, so you can make it. Well, yes, you can, because you can make a purple one, because you can get purple, you make a green one. You can get purple DC, and the absolute plus was purple. And, blimey, there we go! One used for parts, one in bits, so we have non-washables and the screws and the washables and some of filth which we better clean up, hadn't we? And it's still June, so we've still got June's vacuum. I would never have done that without the heifer in the bag. So there we go. Let's wash it, polish it, and put it back together. Right, now it's time to make a lovely cup of tea. There we go. Ooh, lovely. Need that after washing that Dyson up. Talking of that Dyson, we need to do the fan. So what I have is a pot with the fan in and a nice slug of washing up liquid. And all you do is you pour the boiling water in. Oh, look at that. Give it as much of a stir as you dare without burning your fingers. Let's just use a knife. As you can see, all the rubbish just falls out. Ooh. So once you swish that around, we'll drink our tea, we'll get the milk out. I leave the tea bag in my tea because I like strong tea. So we'll give that a dunk. Drink it and see what that's like after it's had a good old soak. Well, I haven't finished my tea yet, I've been pottering around, but it's been about 15 minutes now. There's a spider, let's wash it down with this, ready? We'll just give it a rinse. It's got all tarnished, but I'll be honest, it really doesn't matter. And look, that's a lot better. Not perfect. I can't focus in. But a lot better. So, I'll be honest, we're going to do it again. That's got the worst of it off. But you can sort of just see this. My phone won't really focus on everything. It's not as bad though. but it will knock it off balance. It's something that plagues a lot of vacuum cleaners, especially badly filtering ones like the DC01. The actual dirt on the fan blows it off course. Come on, boil, boil, boil. Look. Really? Really? I do. This shouldn't be quite so dramatic now. Oh, it would really hurt if I do that. There we go. Just to get the washing up liquid dissolved. If you had an ultrasonic parts like jewellery cleaner, this at the stage, I wouldn't do it the first time, but at this stage now, that would probably be quite nice actually. But I haven't gotten those, so let's give it another 20 minutes and see what it's like. So, here is the DC01, all washed, all polished, and apart from the faded grey parts, looking very lovely indeed. And now I suppose it is time for the reassembly, so let me get set up and we'll start with the Cyclone, which is over here by the magic of me pausing the camera. Ta-da! Right, where shall we start? Well, let's do the easy part first and put the seal on the inner lower cone. I must not get confused between lower and upper cone. Lick the seal because I'm a nigger. Put that in there. Put the seal on top, which I actually possibly should have done before, but yeah, let's do it before. It's just easier. Don't know why I did that first. There we go. Lovely, one cone in the bin. Next, we shall pop the shroud over the cone, like so, and then click. No, not click. That was a click. Then this top piece, again, just clips over the top if you line it up correctly. There we go. And then the top seal goes around there like so. Now we're going to pop that into here, which is looking a lot lovelier. You can line the screw lip, screw tang, screw whatever, up with the screw in there. You can twist it around a little bit. Make sure to knock it until it gets caught, and then you just need to push really. It's a bit of a pain, but eventually it does go. You just got to be a little bit delicate, I suppose. No, that's it. That's it. We're in. But the screw hole hasn't lined up, which is a bit of a pain. Let's see if we can just twist this top part over just a little bit. Bit of a pain really, because you can't now get to it, but I don't want to take it all out again. So I just, well, I didn't want that to happen. But now that it has, I can show you what we do. I'm going to have to definitely pause though. Oh, that's why the rubber seal's not sat in the lip fully. That'll probably do it. Now we're going to have to get the tiger seal out, which is fine. And indeed might help matters. Come on. Oof. It's literally half a screw width away. Not even that. But there is no way. You can twist that, but that just twists the cone, not the top part, which we want. Let's take it out again, because I think that seal is causing us operational issues. just lubricate that up and try again. Although with that inner piece out, I can be a lot more accurate with what I'm doing. And that is there. The hole lines up. We'll pop the screw in before we drop it even more. And I'm now going to have to pause because my tube of Tiger Seal has been open for quite some time now and will need to be cleaned out. I have to clean the nozzle out because it's been open for a while. There's a bit of dirt there that was missing cleaning because you can't get to it in cleaning. But that's the little bit of housing that holds the bleed valves. Again, you could epoxy over that for ultimate suction, but I don't want to do that, so bear with me. Right, here we go, I have my sealant ready. And I'm going to attempt, without making a complete mess everywhere, to stick a small bead of silicone around here, and it will look a little bit messy to start with, but we'll clean up okay. I can't really show you either, so I'll show you it once it's applied. So this is very thick stuff. This is Tiger Seal, I use this on the cars. It's also very good for sealing up Hoover Turbo Power fan cases, but it is a complete sod to apply, especially when it's a little bit of an old tube like this is. But we can clean it up afterwards, that's not a problem. I'm trying to do over the basket, so if it drips onto the basket and not onto the floor. It keeps going outside of the lip, which is a bit of a pain, I'll be honest. There we go. Right, pop that just in there. So one very messy bead of sealant. And what have I done? There it is. So hopefully we can stick this in here. Like so. And then clean off the excess. I'm not too fussed if a little bit remains, I'll be honest. In fact, that's pulling itself apart just by doing that. Let's get the worst off and then we'll clean it up properly. Once it's gone off, we're going to have to leave this to one side until it's cured, I think. Rub that off there. Rub that off there. And obviously, if you were doing this not on camera, you could do a much neater job with a fresher tube and a smaller cut on the tube. That's got quite a big cut because I used it to seal a rocker cover gasket onto a car, so I needed a thick bead. But once you've cut the tube, you've cut the tube, unless you happen to have spare nozzles, which I don't. Let's use a baby wipe to clean this off just a little bit more, because it's easier to do it when it's not fully set. So it'll be hidden once it's on the machine, and it will do the machine the world of good. And there we go. Once that dries, that'll be sealed on. So we'll pop that over here to cure. Let me just put this outside because it stinks. And I'll just get a baby wipe and just clean it off my fingers. So I don't splatter it all over the rest of the machine. Pop that over there. And we shall move on to putting all the seals back in this, which is quite fun But again, if you piece them together, you can tell, i.e. that bit has a kink in it. And that kink will correspond with something. What would it correspond with? It might not be that bit. Hang on. Aha, this is the one that goes here. This will be a bit of trial and error, because like I say, if it doesn't fit you have to try it somewhere else, but the corners that are moulded into the rubber after so many years of being in place will line up and you will get it. So don't be too worried, it's just a bit of patience. But it is well worth doing this because these seals will benefit from being popped up and make the world of difference, because the DC01 is a very inefficient design by nature, and needs all the help it can with retaining suction. So it is well worth getting these fiddly seals out, cleaning them up and then putting them back in, which will make them less flat. So there we go. One down. How does this one look like it goes? I think you go here, don't you? Yes, that goes there. We'll put the flat piece in first, which will line up the rest of the seal. And then pop this bit down here, like so. And you come up here. It will try and fall out on you, so you might you need to bear with me a bit here. Fast forward about 2 minutes if you don't want to watch me fiddle with a piece of rubber, but I can't really show you it any other way, and it is literally just pushing a bit of rubber into a channel. There's nothing scientific, but it's got to be done. Hopefully it won't fall back out again, but it probably will. I just need a screwdriver just to poke it in behind this screw post. There we go, that should have it. Like so. Oh, my screen's turned off. There we go. So those seals are in. Next we need the one for the spinal cable and the spinal cable itself, because this has to go in next, otherwise the whole thing sort of doesn't work. So push this through from the bottom. There we go. And you can tell because it will have, that one's got a sort of stress mark on it from where it butted up against the two pieces. So we can do that. We can then fit, I should have put this on the other end, but the rubber should just about stretch to get this connector over it, which actually all reminds me, doesn't it, it does need to come off. So we might get, because otherwise the next layer won't go on properly. Where's my little tiny screwdriver for doing such a thing? Oh, preparation is key, people! Let's just wazz this off quickly. Push it up. Release the clip, which is easier said than done when it's utter silly. There we go. And that sits in there, and that its little rubber seal completes this part of the sealing up. There we go. Right, we'll leave that there for a second because next we need to, what do we need to do? Nothing actually. Because the next set of rubber seals is on this bottom piece, so this piece can be screwed in now, but not before we've refitted this one seal, which sits at the top, like so, and then gets sandwiched in between here. So we need to push these cables through the hole, being careful, he says, which is actually before we do that, let's get some screws ready to go in. 1, 2, I think we'll get 4 for now. Because I don't want this to fall off. Get the spade connectors past where they go. Pull the spinal cable through a little bit, and that should be grand and pull itself together once I do up some screws. Like so. Oh, there it goes. I won't do them up completely tightly just yet. We'll get a couple in square first, just to square it off. Oh, I can see that pushing into the channel that holds the rubber seal very nicely indeed. God, this screwdriver is quite knackered. Won't be long before I need a new one. I don't really want to do because I like this screwdriver. We've been through some. Nah, that's too worn. Get the nice one out. We don't need a long one for an 01. If you've seen my DC04 video, we need a long one to get to the clutch screw. Ooh, that's not gone in properly. The housing isn't tucked behind. So off it all comes again. And you've got to be careful, you see, that everything's lined up. You don't want it to not be lined up. I don't think we'll get away. Oh, we will get away with just backing it off, that's good. Let's check the other side while we're here. Yeah, that's in properly. There we go. That screw's going in a lot better now as well. Yes. And again, you can see it pulling itself in nicely, so we'll do the screw up, which pulls the back in. Do the screw on the other side, which will pull this side in. I think there's one more somewhere. Oh, left-handed screwing up is hard. And the last ones, oh, there's 2. 1, 2 screws, which go, well, where they go really. You can sort of tell. Oh, that's the wrong head. The ones inside have a broader head, I think. Otherwise they won't go into the channel of that piece, which you can't see because it's off camera. I've made that mistake before and it gets stuck and it's a right pain to get out. So we won't do that here. He says we might end up doing it here if I get it really wrong. But hopefully we won't. And it will all go very jollily nicely indeed. That one's a small head. So the first layer is on. And it should all stand up very nicely indeed. Next we shall fit the wiring loom, which is the full extent of the wiring loom. After just cleaning it off because it's a bit dusty. There we go. And again, this just fits. There's a little gap. The metal bit just clamps the spinal cord in place. I'll fit it and I'll show you what I'm doing. There we go, and that just sits in place like so, ready to put the motor in, which is probably not quite the next job. We need to fit the seal that goes against the pivot for the whole thing. So we'll do that here, and again it just pushes in. It could be a little bit fiddly to get around the corners, but we'll go. And it's quite important that this is in right, because otherwise it won't rotate, it all jams up. So next we need our 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws for the motor, the associated or washers that came off, because we need to put the motor back together now. We'll also need that tool, here we go, the 10mm nut. 10mm? Yes, it is 10mm. And the motor. So let me just reset the video and we'll put the motor back in. Here it is, look, ooh, motor. I have sprayed a little bit of grease onto the bearings. It won't do a lot, but it might shut them up a little bit. So, what goes on first? Well, we need our plastic fan. Not fan, but you know what I mean. No, we don't. We need this bit first. Silly me. There you go, that snaps onto there. And then we'll fit the 2 inner screws, which we had to take the whole flipping thing off for to do in the first place. I think it's actually the shorter of the 2 screws for this, because they didn't stick out and that one's just pushed out, which is fine, but yeah, so that's better. So of the ones you've removed, the 2 shorter ones go in the middle, like so, and then the 4 longer ones go on the outside. Make sure they're quite tight, because otherwise if it rattles it will just sound flipping awful. There we go, 2, 3 and 4 here. 3. And 4. There we go, that's the air direction channel put back on, like so. That in turn goes onto the motor, and you might have to sort of help it. Didn't want to do that. Oh well, that's what the armature of a DC01 looks like. But now, we need to take off the carbon brushes, because doing that has pinged them out. Bother. Don't want to get into. Oh, blimey, there's a load of crud coming out of there. Maybe we should have done that. These are going to be sticky otherwise. Oh gosh. Well, that's not great. Because after all that effort, look, that carbon brush has crumbled. Oh dear. Right, well, all that was pointless because we can't reuse. Let's check the other one just while we're here. We can't use this motor. Yeah, that one's done it as well. Right, okay. Lucky save, but that motor is, well, the carbons are scrap, but I'm not soldering new carbons on. So, I'm going to stop this video, take the motor out of the other Dyson, and we'll fit it into here. Back in a second. For you, anyway. Right, well, there we go. Oh. One identical motor, actually. That's a 540 as well. So, we know it runs well. In fact, it did sound better than the motor we've just washed the fan on. Although its fan is a little bit dirty. So what we're going to do, we don't want those because we've got our washed ones, is I am going to change the fans around, but we're not going to wash that inner part. Where's my nice screwdriver? Here it is. Not going to wash the inner part because I don't want that to happen again, I'll be honest. That was a pain. New carbons will sort it, but I'm not buying new carbons. I'm quite glad I picked up that scrap Dyson there. 99p. That has saved my bacon. You know? Come on, off you come. Ow! Oh gosh. Bear with me. Right, well, after losing quite a lot of blood, that's gone quite deep actually. Be very careful when you do this, please. I won't be responsible for anybody hurting themselves. Oh, blimey, that was... I mean, how many plasters? That's good, isn't it? Got bandages, but no plasters. Right, I'm not washing that. That could do one. That's fine. We're just going to put the fan that we cleaned on. Oh, sorry, hell. If it starts to trickle blood through, I'll have to stop. I'll take it off later once it's healed itself, once the flap of skin that is hanging off my finger has decided to sort itself out. That's not sat right, that's not level at all. Look, that's all wibbly wobbly. You can't tell, but I can. Ah, I put the washers on the wrong way around, I think, or just not on straight. But no bother, we'll take it off. Oh yeah, that's why that wasn't sat square in the little washer that holds it square. Oh, I was going to go to the swimming pool tomorrow as well. I'm going on holiday. There we go, that's nice and square now. And we'll stick our washed fan cover back on, and that literally just pushes on like so. I'll just check it still rotates and it isn't caught anywhere. Oh, sweating there. Right, done. You can do one. I don't want to see your face ever again. We'll take our nice washed rubbers next. We'll take off this unwashed one, even though it is perfectly fine, but I'm going to bin it because I don't actually need it. And we'll put that there, like so. The fan case one sits there, and then offering the machine up to your knee, work out which way, because this only goes on one way. That dimple there mates up, sits upright even. So we put that in there, line up the two tabs. And again, this is a bit fiddly because it will try and fall out a lot. So we'll just lubricate the rubber so it slips into where it needs to go. which isn't actually there at all, it's back here. Come on. There we go, and it will all sit in there nicely, like so, but be quite careful because it will fall out. Plug the actual wires back in. Oh, this one's been, the spade connector's been squished in a little bit, so we'll just tease that out slightly. There we go, it doesn't matter which way around these go at this point. And then carefully put down there because we've got more rubber seals to put back in, yay! And they sit here on this part. This is a lot more tricky now that I don't have one finger, but it should get there in the end. Do 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 do. La 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 la. There we go. Like I say, once all the corners start to line up, you're in business. You can just push, push, push. No other Dyson is this fiddly, so don't be too put off if you're thinking that, oh, I don't want to do every Dyson. I mean, obviously a DC24, which, and 25, definitely a DC40. You haven't seen the after video. Actually, you probably have seen the after video of that before this, I'll be honest. And there will be a refurb thread. I've done the pictures. It was a sob. That makes this look easy. I'd rather do this all day long than do another DC40. There we go. Then just these two rubbers, which sit in these end bits. I can see why Dyson changed their design, because this isn't a very elegant solution. Obviously the DC04, which came after the DC01, is very different indeed. Much simpler, because now you basically have to now push two rubber seals next to each other, which is never really going to work because they just try and push themselves off, and now don't want to line up. Come on. They don't have to be perfect, as long as they stick themselves together long enough for you to bang the casing back together, you'll be fine. So that's not the worst thing in the world, I suppose. One more. Line up the little nub. Oh, my finger's aching now. It'll be fine. Couldn't find any insulation tape. I normally just use insulation tape as a plaster, but I don't know where that is. Which is a bit of a pain because we can't really do anything about the wheels without it, so we're not. We're going to leave the wheels wobbly. I've just decided. We need to put our very clean flaps back in. There we go. And then push everything together and hope that nothing falls off on you, which it might do. And also you can't put any pressure on those fins because they are very fragile. There we go, that's got it. Oh, there's a bit of blood on there. When the lady comes to pick it up, I can look her in the eye and say that my blood, sweat and tears went into this. Blood, lots of blood. Fair bit of sweat yesterday when we stripped it down. It's not as bad today, it's quite nice. There's a breeze and it's cloudy. But yesterday, oh, that was terrible. You probably saw the state of my shirt. There we go. 3. Over and do 4, 5 and 6. 4. Oh, can't pick the screwdriver with that hand anymore. Making roll-ups is going to be fun. As he's having a shower tomorrow, hopefully it would have stopped enough for me to replace it. Oh, I've got some sellotape around it, so it's a bit more waterproof. So I've just got cloth tape at the minute. Lovely. Right, we'll put the spinal cable through the top just to get it out of the way and stop it from flapping about a bit. There we go. And like all spinal cables, it just pushes in to its little slots. There we go, like that-ish. It needs to pull through a little bit, but there we go. Right, what's next? Let's do the wheels. They'll be really good, won't it? We need the 4 washers. No, 2 washers, I'm sorry, it's not a... I'm losing the plot a bit. 2 washers, the end caps, the axle and the circuit and the grease, just to stop any squeakering. Because we don't want squeakering, do we? Little drop of grease there. I haven't derusted it, I'll be honest. And I'm not going to either. It's a shame I can't find that tape. Let's have a quick look. Pause again. Try and do it right, eh? I spent literally seconds searching and couldn't find it, but sellotape seems to be doing an alright job. So let's just do that. So that can go in there, push the axle through. I don't tell you you're going to need a tap with, no, you're not going to need a tap with a hammer, are you? Mood I'm in now, a tap with a hammer may not be the best thing for you. And then put a bit of sellotape around here. Nice little bodge that nobody apart from us will probably ever know. Let's be honest. This is going to be used in a holiday home by somebody who just wants it as a hoover. If a collector ever gets this, ever gets a Dyson with sellotape wrapped around the wheel axles, well, we can laugh about it, can't we? And say, oh, we know where that came from. Is that too much? No, blimey. That was a lot of sellotape as well. They must have been knackered. I need my pliers, which I haven't picked up. What does lent on me finger? I know, I'll just drop the rude word circuit into my toolbox. Oh, bother. Hang on, you can't have gone far, you literally dropped straight down. Board is looking for you now. Show yourself. Right, time for plan B then. Plan B is a scrapper Dyson. Yeah, good old scrapper Dyson. I might redo this video, you know. I'll get one of my nice DC01s out that needs a refurb. Both my blue ones need a good touch. We'll do this properly one day. But having shot all the footage so far, I'm not just going to bin it off. You may as well watch it. There we go. Well, that's a lot better already, and they work as wheels should. Right, brush roll housing next, along with the it's not the release valve, is it? The reclining lock debris. Let's get the reclining lock on. Put the axle through the wheels and clip it in like so. Put the spring in place, and it literally just snaps together very easily indeed, and then pushes even easier into there. That is it, literally. You mustn't forget this part, which will only go on one way because the large end fits around the motor, so that's easy enough. This bit isn't quite so easy though, snapping this into place. I'm sure I did have a knack for it once, but it's gone. I think you just push until it goes, and if it snaps we have a spare. Let's not forget that. Oh, I've not done it right at all. There we go, that side's on. Come on, I haven't got the finger power now to push. There we go, I've done it. There we go. And you must make sure that it is really loose and just sort of flops down, otherwise it'll jam and stick and you end up with that. That is a beautiful motion. I'm quite actually happy with that. Right, brush roll, bearings, the two felt washer things, and the axle, and some new belts, because I got a packet of belts out without remembering actually that I said in the last video I was going to keep the old belt, but as you can see the old belt may be a tad stretched, so we will replace the belt, which is going to be fun with my finger like this. So we'll pop, oh, mustn't forget the bumper because otherwise we can't put the base plate on. So we'll do the bumper now. It is going to fall off though because it's a sod like that. Let's have this like that. And we'll stick a bearing on the axle. It's not really an axle, is it? We'll stick the bearing on the stick, the washer. We'll put that into an end cap. These aren't, I don't think. Yeah, they're not handed, so that's not going to matter. As long as they're in, they're in. There we are. The felt washer. Lovely. Check that the locating tabs are aligned. Pop the brush roll into the belt and then basically pull. And it should nice and easily just slip in. Rotate everything so the belt aligns before you clamp on the base plate and it jams. And we'll put the base plate back together, which is as simple as putting the rubber spring, I suppose you could call it, into here, clipping the cradle onto the base plate itself, and then putting the rubber over that. That is literally all that does. That just makes that bounce. Like so. Handily, I suppose, after taking the base plate off the scrapper Dyson to get to the motor, I have 3 screws now, so that's fine. We'll put this little poor excuse of a seal back into the base plate. Pop that on there and screw it down, but with 3 screws this time, not just 2. So we are improving it slightly. We've replaced the ticking time bomb motor because those carbons, the snapped off end would have just disintegrated at some point. And I'd have got an irate message going, oh, you looked at my Dyson and it broke. Well, she probably wouldn't actually, she's quite a nice lady. This is the third one I've done for her. She's got a 14 and I think an 08. So, she wouldn't be like that, she's a nice lady, but you know what I mean, it wouldn't look great, would it? There we go. And that. There we go. Now that has, I've done the base plate up just a little bit too tight on this back screw because it is clamping itself down a little bit too well. There we go. I think we'll test it out because another little hack is to put a little smear of grease just around there. So we'll sort that out in a minute. Now the filters! I didn't wash them in the end. I won't lie to you, I didn't wash them. Because we're going to put new ones in. We'll push the filter housing, not the filter cover, it's not really a housing, is it, back on? And look, I have some nice, genuine S-level filters. So this is an upgrade, technically, for this machine, because these filters are for the blue absolute, well, the blue, or the absolute / distill. These aren't the washable ones, but sodder. She's obviously not ever washed filters before, so she's probably not going to wash these, is she? So I'll put that in there. We'll open up the cage and stick it one in there, and I might give her 2 as a spare because I can be quite nice when I've got 2. Lovely! Right, we are actually nearly there. Huzzah! I can go and comfort my poorly finger. Right, let's rearrange myself for a second because I am pointing away from you, which is terribly rude of me. I am sorry. There we go. Right, we'll put the rubber seal in. That sits here, which is again a bit fiddly because there's corners. There we go. We need the mains cable now. Feed that through the back into the cord protector. If this cable had a donut on it, Dyson's poor attempt at cable strain relief, which actually destroyed more cables than it believed. Literally, if you see a Dyson, if you see it broken or it just doesn't work, DC04s actually, well, or DC01s, DC04 are the machine that they had the donuts on, but took them off halfway through the run. Most of the DC01s did have the donut actually, so that means that this may have had a genuine Dyson cable on it at some point. Or somebody just took it off properly. But the donut breaks the cable. Where it pulls against just one particular point of cable, it snaps it clean in half. It might even have caught fire. So if you ever see, I've had a few dead DC04s and DC01s actually, my Absolute Plus. Mint machine, mint. It's dead because of the donut. And it was only £5. Brought it home, just chop the cable back past the break, rewire it up like this. You'll just need a crimp for the live terminal. So there are some bargains to be had with the knackered donuts, but do take them off. I mean, I have them on some of my machines, but obviously I'm quite careful to not piss around with the cable too much. So we put the, it's all quite self-explanatory, that's why I'm just sort of zooming through it really. Put the cable clamps in, we'll do the usual. If you want a pictorial step-by-step of a DC01, I actually have a couple on Manchester backs. My Distill has one, that's got a very thorough thread, as does actually my Car Boot Absolute Plus. That's also got a very thorough thread. And indeed, actually, the blue Manchester Vax Dyson that I did unbox on this very channel, that has a more close-up of me doing this. So if you are watching this looking to replace the cable, check those out. I'll try and put a link in the description. Be all fancy by putting links in my descriptions. You want the cable cover? It's just, oh, my finger's going cold. This just goes there. Must put it on too tight. Never mind. Oh, and I have forgotten the hose. But actually, we can test this now quickly. Ooh, bum. We also need a plug. Look at that. Oh, blimey. That was a spot and a half. Let's just test this quickly. Ooh. Look what the filter housing does. That squeaking noise is slightly annoying, however, it will be because it's got a new belt on it. Right, another pause I think, because I don't have a plug in easy quick reach. No. And the hose is upstairs as well. So, hang on. So I have unplug. We need an plug chopper, or razor blade as I like to call it. And we'll get this plug changed. That was a lucky find, wasn't it? Otherwise that would have gone back like that. And that would have been bad. We'll also have to refit the cable clip as well, which I've just broken. Fantastic. Oh, I've got some more of those, so we'll ignore that for now. Oh god, this isn't going very well, is it? Hey ho, right, plug off. Ooh. Cable clamp off. Like so. Oh, these terminals are very loose. What the hell did I take this off of? Right, we'll measure roughly just so I can trim it in the right place. There. Let's try not to cut myself again, eh? That would be funny, wouldn't it? Oh god. And just very gently, just, you haven't even got to push. The weight of the sharp blade does all that's needed in this situation. There we go, and then we'll strip the actual wires back just by twisting them over here again until it just goes through the insulation. Oh, that's not quite enough. Fantastic. So I'm just checking you can actually see what I'm doing. You can't, I'm too far away, but just checking that I wasn't doing this above the level. Obviously everybody has their own way of stripping cables. I'm not going to start getting into all that. You do what you do, I just do it this way. Then terminal there. Back that off a little bit. Pop that in there. Like so. Oh, the earth pin's fallen out, but that's fine. We don't need an earth pin for this because it's not earthed. Well, it earths itself, I think. I don't know how it works, but it just doesn't need an earth pin. It's 2 core flex. I'm sure there's plenty of YouTube videos on what appliances need earthing. If it was a wet and dry it would. If it was a wet, well, actually no, not all wet and dries do. Vaxes do. Older Vaxes anyway. 121, the 4000 had a 3-core flex, as you saw when I took it apart and cried at it because it was a pile of scrap. There we go. Pop the top on, and there we go. I shall get a cable clip in a bit. I'm not getting up again. Right, what's the Cyclone doing? Well, that is not set at all. But it does take a while, so that's fine. As long as we don't mess with it too much, we'll get away with it. Now, why do I seem to be missing all the springs? Because they're here. Let's very carefully put the release valves back in. They will literally push in very carefully so you don't snap them. One. Like I say, by the time she gets that home and uses it, that'll be dry. It'll take a few days to dry properly. I did glue one in once, but it didn't go very well because the glue all ran out. You needed some thick glue. But just the Cyclone being on will push it in, because obviously that bit sits on the machine, so that's okay. I'm not too fussed about that. Now I've got to be very careful again to not crack this, so I might go a little bit silent for a second. Ooh, there we go. We'll pop the bin on. I'll do it while it's laying down just because it's a bit easier. Oh, we haven't got our filter in. Or the air freshener. Do like a nice air freshener. There we go. That will be grand. So that's looking better already. Let's pop the hose on, which we might need to lift the Cyclone up a little bit for that, because that little tab is a complete sod. To get in, you need to put the hose in and then push it from the rear. Hang on. There we go, and it physically snaps itself in. We'll get the less broken one with the only slightly knackered top and fit the cord hook and its spring and its screw with the bigger torque screw that I didn't get out. I wonder if a flat blade screwdriver will be enough. That one's not. That one is, that'll do. We'll put it in with the flat blade, because I'm not digging through my toolbox. I'm going to have to dig through my toolbox because... Right, there we go. We're going to have to quickly find the... Oh, it's here, that's fine. Oh, there we go, nowhere close. Lovely. We'll put the spring on the wand. Line up the other end of the spring, and you will need to just push. There we go. And there's that bit. There's no clips or anything on the hose, it literally just sits on. You can't reverse the hose like you can on an 04 or an I think it's just an 07 actually, but it just literally pushes on like so. You know, actually we're there. I did find some tools. So we have a purple but DC01 upholstery tool, a nice long crevice tool, and a DC01 dusting brush. Very lovely indeed. Right, let's just get rid of all the random screws that I have left over from taking apart various machines to do this job. And let's just check it still works. Superb! One squeaky, but very clean and working 100%. Dyson DC01. Possibly not my most polished and refined video, but I didn't need to kill myself. Give me some slack. I hurt my little handy. Done! One full refurb on perhaps not the most deserving Dyson ever, but a Dyson nonetheless. I'll try and do another 01 video with a nicer Dyson. How's that? Can't say further than that. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you soon. Oh, my poor finger. Bye bye.